Welcome back to JForrest English. I'm Jennifer, and today we're going to read a news article together so you can improve your fluency and get up to that advanced fluent level in English. Let's get started. First, I'll read the headline. WDC President Faryal Zerouki has a powerful vision for the industry. Now, do you know what WDC stands for? Do you know who Faryal Zerouki, this woman, is? I don't, and I'm going to assume you don't either. So this is what we call an abbreviation. So I need to find out what this abbreviation means in the article. So here, okay, WDC. So this is what WDC stands for, the abbreviation, World Diamond Council. So of course, I also know the industry that they're talking about is the diamond industry. Everyone loves diamonds, right? So let's learn about her powerful vision for the industry. And of course, a vision, that's your idea of something in the future. When you imagine something in the future and you imagine it a specific way, that's your vision. And I hope you have a powerful vision for your future and a powerful vision for yourself as a confident English speaker as well. Now, don't worry about writing these notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. So you can look for the link in the description to download the free lesson PDF. Let's continue and learn about her powerful vision. At the helm of a new era, the De Beers exec, she is the De Beers exec. De Beers is a company, a diamond company. And exec, this is short for the word executive. An executive is the senior ranks of a position. So I'll write that out for you, executive. And we commonly say orally, and as you can see here, even write exec as the short word for executive. The De Beers exec plans to make the World Diamond Council, WDC, the abbreviation, more accessible and heighten awareness of responsible sourcing issues. Let's take a look at the helm of. When you're at the helm of something, in this case, a new era, it means you're officially controlling. So they're saying that she, because she's the president of the World Diamond Council, she's officially controlling this new era because she's creating the vision for the industry. We use this commonly in business English to say who's in control of an organization or a company. For example, with Steve Jobs at the helm of Apple, officially controlling Apple, the company's profits skyrocketed. So here, let's look at also heighten awareness. When you heighten awareness, it means you increase awareness. So heighten is an alternative way to say increase. Increase. So increase awareness of responsible sourcing issues. Let's continue. Roaming the halls of diamond conferences and industry meetings. Let's take a look at roaming the halls. What does this mean? When you roam the halls, well, remember, we're at a conference. So the halls, those are the corridors, of course, in the conference. So the presentations are going on, and she's just roaming the halls, the hallways, the corridors. When you roam, it's the same as walking, but you don't have a specific destination. You more walk in a leisurely way and you stop based on whatever interests you at the moment. Compared to if you're walking from point A to point B and you go in a straight path from point A to point B. But when you roam, you just go like this, and maybe, you see someone you stop there, or you see something interesting, so you stop to look at it, and you keep going without a particular destination in mind and in a leisurely way. Roaming the halls of diamond conferences and industry meetings, Fariel Zaruki stands out from the crowd. If you stand out from something, it means that you are easy to identify, easier than the other people in the crowd or the group. So let's say you're at a conference and everyone is wearing your traditional black jacket with white shirt or a light color shirt and a black jacket, and you show up wearing a bright pink jacket or a purple jacket or a lime green jacket, you are going to stand out. Stand out, or you can say stand out from the other conference participants, stand out from the people, stand out from the crowd, stand out from the group. So you could use either. So are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers on TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English and add the most common expressions and advanced grammar structures to help you sound fluent and natural in English. You can look in the description for the link on more information, and let's continue on. So if you're applying for a job, you could ask yourself, how can I make my CV stand out? How can I make my CV more noticeable than the 20, 30, 40, or 100 other CVs? Because obviously you want to stand out when you're applying for a job. Sometimes you don't want to stand out though. So there are times when you do and don't want to stand out. So Fariel Zaruki stands out from the crowd. Aside from being one of only a few women in the room, the new president of the World Diamond Council, so now they gave us the abbreviation. When you're writing, you should always give the abbreviation the very first time you mention it. So this was the first time we saw the words World Diamond Council. You should identify the abbreviation here, WDC, and then in the future, you should use the abbreviation. Generally, though, in the headline, it is common to either use the abbreviation without identifying it or just use the full name. But once you start writing, the first time you write it, you should identify the abbreviation and then use the abbreviation. So here they identified and used it. The World Diamond Council has made a habit of pushing the industry's boundaries. Okay. So when you push someone's boundaries, it means you try to get them to change their boundaries, to make their boundaries more flexible. So if I have a boundary that I don't check work messages after 6 o'clock, which is a boundary of mine, but I have this one student that always sends me a message at 7 o'clock and demands a reply, even though that student knows I don't check messages after 6. That student is trying to push my boundaries. So they're trying to get me to do something beyond what I want to do. But in this case, in my example, this sounded quite negative, but in this case, you can push an industry's boundaries in a positive way, because if the industry is always acting in one specific way, but perhaps in 2023, that way is a little outdated, and she's trying to get them to do more than they're currently doing, to expand, to be more flexible. So in this case, it sounds like a positive to push one's boundaries, but remember, it can also be used in more of a negative way, especially a child will always try to push their parents' boundaries, and in that way, it probably sounds a little more negative. Let's continue. Now we have a quote here, so I know that these are the words of Fariel Zaruki. Okay, so when I first met the different trade associations, I may have ruffled a few feathers. And this makes sense because if she's trying to push boundaries, chances are you're going to ruffle a few feathers. Now, this is an idiom. Do you know what this means? To ruffle a few feathers? When you ruffle someone's feathers, it means you upset someone or you annoy someone. So it's a negative thing. So the expression to ruffle someone's feathers. But notice here, she said, I may have ruffled a few feathers. So she didn't identify whose feathers she was ruffling, who she was upsetting. But based on the context, it's obvious that it's other people within the industry, perhaps other people on the World Diamond Council or just in the industry in general. I may have ruffled a few feathers, she remarks in an interview with Rappaport magazine. Rappaport. Hopefully I said that right. Rappaport. That's fun to say. Rappaport magazine. At the time, she explains, they were discussing the same old topics. When we have same old, we generally don't pronounce the D in old, whereas we do pronounce it in most contexts. For example, my grandmother is very old. Old. You hear the D in that. But with the expression same old topics, you can pronounce the D. It's not incorrect. Same old topics, you absolutely can say that. But native speakers, I guess we treat this more like an expression and we generally drop the D sound. In fact, in a lot of writing, you'll see it like this. And this dash here represents that a letter is missing. Same old, same old. Same old topics. Now, this is not something you have to do. Again, you absolutely can pronounce the D and it is 100% correct. This is just something that native speakers do. And we have this as a common expression when someone asks you, oh, what's new? And then if you want to say that nothing is new, you can say, same old, same old. We tend to repeat it twice, but you don't have to. You can just say same old or same old, and repeat it twice, which means you've been doing the same thing you've always done. Nothing has changed in your life, in your routine. So it's another way of saying nothing is new. What's new? Same old, same old. So remember, you can repeat it twice. And if someone asks you what happened at the meeting, you can just say, same old discussion, to suggest nothing new happened. We talked about the same topics we always talk about at the meeting. So you can use that. And again, it is not incorrect to pronounce the D. Same old, same old. You can absolutely say that as well. At the time, she explains, they were discussing the same old topics, predictably relating to De Beers supply and the banking sector. I'd point out to say, surely we've moved on. Surely we've moved on. So when you move on in the context of an industry moving on, it means you've progressed to something different, something new. Surely we've moved on. We've progressed. Surely we've moved on, recalls Zaruki. Drawing on her work at De Beers, let's look at this. When you draw on something, in this case, she drew on her work. This simply means that she uses her work. So she uses her work to do something else. So she draws on her work at De Beers. She uses her work experience. Where she is now, Senior Vice President of Corporate Affairs. So remember, she's the president of the World Diamond Council, but she also is employed by the company De Beers, and her position is Senior Vice President of Corporate Affairs. Okay, so let's take a look at this again. Drawing on her work at De Beers, she saw other major issues the trade needed to address. So this, between the dashes, this is all additional information about who she is. But when I read the sentence to understand the grammar, I'm going to get rid of all this. Drawing on her work at De Beers, she saw other major issues the trade needed to address, namely responsible sourcing, sustainability, and human rights. So when she used her experience at De Beers, she understood that there are other issues they needed to address, and these are the other issues: responsible sourcing, sustainability, and human rights. Now notice how they use namely, and then you can identify the specific topics. So here's a professional and advanced expression you can use. We discussed many things at the meeting, namely X, Y, and Z. And then you can list the things you discussed. You don't have to have 3. You could have 2 or you could have 4. But you would need to have more than 1 in this case because you said many things. But it is possible to just have 1 if you really wanted to highlight that. But I'll just leave 3 here for you. Let's continue. As the first woman to head an international diamond trade body, Zaruki feels welcome, accepted, and respected. Well, that's good that these are 3 positive adjectives in her role. Okay, so to head, notice here that this is being used as a verb, to head an international diamond trade body. When you head something, it means that you are in control of it. You are the senior ranking official. Remember, we also learned that expression. Do you remember what it was? At the helm of, as the first woman at the helm of an international diamond trade body. You could say that as well. As the first woman to head an international diamond trade body. We also use head commonly as a noun. She's the head of the diamond trade body. So here, the head of, and then whatever it might be. Steve Jobs was the head of Apple, for example. So in this case, this is a noun. And in this case, to head, this is a verb. Zaruki feels welcome, accepted, and respected in her role. Having begun her 2-year term in May, she expects her experience will help evolve the diversity dynamic within trade associations. Okay, the diversity dynamic. When you talk about the dynamic, it is how people interact with each other. So their dynamic is how they interact, how they get along. But in this case, they're specifically talking about how people interact with each other, specifically relating to diversity. So perhaps diversity of genders, diversity of cultures, backgrounds, languages, races. So that could all be the diversity dynamic within trade associations. Let's take a step back and look at having begun. Having begun her 2-year term. So having begun her term, remember, she is now the president of the World Diamond Association or Council, WDC, World Diamond Council. So she has a term, that's the length of her position. And in this case, it's a 2-year term. Now notice there's no S on year because this is functioning as an adjective and we don't have singular or plural adjectives. So the 2-year describes how long the term is, her 2-year term. Here, notice we have having in ing, and then we have the past participle. Begin, began, begun. The past participle. Having begun her 2-year term. This is an advanced sentence structure that will help you sound very professional. This structure is having done something, and then you have a general statement. And that general statement comes from the experience you've gained in the first part. And remember, done, this is do, did, done. So it's the past participle, having done something. So let's say my general statement is, I think Apple's a great company. But that just sounds like it's my general opinion, right? But if I add on having worked at Apple, I can say it's a great company. Having worked at Apple, I think it's a great company. So now all of a sudden my opinion sounds more meaningful because I have experience. So you put your experience here with the structure having past participle, and then you can state whatever your opinion or statement is. So hers is, she expects her experience will help evolve the diversity dynamic within trade associations, and having begun her 2-year term. So she can do this only because her 2-year term has begun. So practice this with more simple sentences. It's a very useful advanced expression to have in your speech. And just remember, it's the past participle. Others won't face the same challenges I did. And notice this is a quote. So she is saying these words. Others won't face the same challenges I did because we've tackled them already. When you tackle, this is a verb in the past simple, to tackle. When you tackle a problem, an issue, a challenge, it simply means you address it, you begin to solve it. So to address, to solve, to fix, depending if it's a problem or not, that's tackle. We've tackled them already. We've addressed them. We've solved them already. She asserts, I'm looking forward to getting more diversity into these trade organizations, more women and other cultures, and I'm thinking about how to do that. Now, this is a very common sentence in English, expression. I think this is a beginner expression in English, yet I see my most advanced students still make mistakes with this expression. My students make mistakes with this by either forgetting the verb to be, it's to be looking forward to, or by forgetting that it's a gerund expression. So to plus gerund. Now, it's to be because this is in the present continuous. So you can't say I looking forward to, but this expression is commonly in the present continuous. It isn't always. It is possible to put it in other verb tenses, but most commonly it's in the present continuous. And when it's in the present continuous, a lot of students either forget the verb to be or they forget to have the gerund here because to belongs to the expression to look forward to. And then you have either a gerund verb or you have a noun. So do some practice sentences with this as well. I don't want to see any mistakes. And that is the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I will read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. WDC President Fariel Zerouki has a powerful vision for the industry. At the helm of a new era, the De Beers exec plans to make the World Diamond Council more accessible and heighten awareness of responsible sourcing issues. Roaming the halls of diamond conferences and industry meetings, Fariel Zerouki stands out from the crowd. Aside from being one of only a few women in the room, the new president of the World Diamond Council, WDC, has made a habit of pushing the industry's boundaries. When I first met the different trade associations, I may have ruffled a few feathers, she remarks in an interview with Rappaport magazine. At the time, she explains, they were discussing the same old topics, predictably relating to De Beers supply and the banking sector. I'd point out to say, surely we've moved on, recalls Zerouki. Drawing on her work at De Beers, where she is now Senior Vice President of Corporate Affairs, she saw other major issues the trade needed to address, namely responsible sourcing, sustainability, and human rights. As the first woman to head an international diamond trade body, Zerouki feels welcome, accepted, and respected in her role. Having begun her 2-year term in May, she expects her experience will help evolve the diversity dynamic within trade associations. Others won't face the same challenges I did because we've tackled them already, she asserts. I'm looking forward to getting more diversity into these trade organizations, more women and other cultures, and I'm thinking about how to do that. If you like this lesson, then make sure you subscribe because I post lessons like this every single week. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And why don't you get started with your next lesson right now?